Joined here by Western Michigan head coach PJ Fleck on signing day. Coach, you got a big smile on your face. 27 recruits, best recruiting class ever for MAC, arguably one of the best ever for a non-BCS school. What does this day mean to you and to the program as a whole?
Well, I think it means the expectations go up. I think that's the main thing, one, and which I love. I love putting the pressure on ourselves and our players and myself and our community and Western Michigan. But I also think it means that young players are starting to see what Western Michigan is all about, and you don't need wins to be able to sell that. What you need to be able to do is get players that fit you, and we have a lot of players that fit our community, and we kept everything around a 6-hour radius because that's the culture we want around here as well. With still our ties in New Jersey and Florida, but overall I want the people that come to games to understand that, hey, that kid's from Sturgis, Michigan, or hey, that kid's from Alma, or that kid's from Chicago, Illinois, or I got neighbors that know him, and that's the culture I want to create, because now all of a sudden mom, dad, grandma, brother, sister, teacher, aunt, uncle are coming to the games, and now they're fans of Western Michigan, and that's how you become a nation. That's how you become Bronco Nation, and that's my ultimate goal for this whole thing, is to make this spread nationally.
Well, kind of my next question was going to talk a little bit about the 6-hour radius. I believe it was 21 of the 27 recruits
21, yes, sir. Yep.
were within the 6 hours. Yeah, just.
Well, again, that's our philosophy. One thing about me is when we say we're going to do something, we're going to do it. And I think a lot of people, I think they mistook a little, or had a little bit me mistaken, where they took my energy and they transformed that into guarantee year one. What it does, it gives us hope, it gives us optimism, it gives us a future, and I think that's what you're starting to see. Year one's year one. You kind of got to do with what you got. But then when you start to get into recruiting, you start to bring in your own type of players, and you start to bring in what fits this new culture, and even the players here, and transforming them into something that's even better than they were before. Now you start to see where this program's going. That's what's really special about this whole thing.
You talked about how from start to finish there was only 2 decommits and none today, kind of for this whole 2014 class. Talk about what that says for the loyalty of these players, especially after on a 1-11 season.
I think it says 2 things. I said, one, what it does, it shows our players who recruit for Western Michigan, host these guys when they come out for their official visits, believe in the program. Because at the end of the day, that's who's going to give you the real insight to what's going on within our walls. The coaching staff, yes, they're going to believe that, they see that, they get that all the time. But when they sit down with our own players, maybe our own players' families, now you're starting to get the truth. And our players sold our program from what they thought it was and where it's going, and that's why we have such a strong niche. 2 is we intertwine our group, our class together. 27 guys know each other probably better than they know some of their high school friends. Some of these parents know each other probably more than they know their neighbors next door. That's what we tried to tie together, and most of these guys were committed even before the 1-11 season, so it just shows the commitment and loyalty and the passion these young people have for playing for Western Michigan.
Chance Stewart, arguably the top prospect coming in for this year, and arguably one of the best quarterbacks ever to come into the MAC. Talk about what he was able to do recruiting wise when getting the rest of the recruits to come into Western and to stay, even after, again, a 1-11 season.
Well, I think one thing it allowed other players to look at him through a transparency and to see transparency that, hey, look, here's what I did. Not that you have to do it, but here's what I did. I decommitted from a Big Ten school, and then I had other Big Ten offers, but I wanted to go somewhere I was going to play, I was going to be loved, I was going to be cared for, and I could make a difference. I could do something for the first time. And I think that's what he started to spread throughout the entire class. And there's a lot of pressure on him, a lot of expectation on him. Even with the recruiting there was. But throughout the whole thing, he was still very honest. If this is not for you, this is why it was right for me. And I think he was like another guy on the staff almost, just the way he was recruiting other guys. And we didn't tell him to do anything. He just did it. And he was a lot of fun to recruit, one, get committed the other, and then watch him recruit.
This morning, the big hype, everyone's sitting around a fax machine waiting for the faxes to come in. Was there one player who, when that fax came in, that you saw their name on the top line, that you were kind of like you were a little nervous that they might not be here and seeing that fax?
I think there's a few of them, to be honest with you, but I think the one initially was Nick Matich, because I think he's the best player at Clarkston High School, period. And I always worried about someone coming in really late on him, which they did, but he held strong. And he was a kid that took Clarkston to their first state championship. That just shows, and a lot of players, there's probably 4 or 5 just like that, to the first of something because of them. Because of their work ethic, because of their leadership. That's what we're bringing in this program. Winners. But Nick, when I saw Nick's, I went, I mean, Shukes was another one. I saw Shukes and took a big, deep breath. I could say that about all of them because, there was always 21 out of the, I think 22 out of the 27 have had multiple BCS offers. And it's, during that time, you don't know if someone called them at 2 a.m. and flipped them or what. But, I was really proud of these guys for hanging tough.
With all the talent that is coming in, is there a couple players that you can see right now that it's going to have an immediate impact on next year's team?
It's hard to see that because we have so many gaps to fill and we need to be able to create depth and create competition that I think it's going to be very hard to say who will play. But we recruited this way. We prepared for all 27 of them being able to play for us. And that's the question we asked ourselves when we were recruiting them. Can they play for us right now? And that's why we have the 27 commitments we do.
Any chance that you add another player between now and the time that training camp starts up?
One thing you'll find out about me, recruiting never stops, and I'll always take an elite player, an elite person, and there's always room.
Yesterday it was officially announced, Mike Hart, the new running backs coach.
Sure.
Talk about what he brings to the team. And, did he help at all with recruiting? I know he was only here for a short time, but...
Well, I think anytime someone leaves, I think the Wolves come in from other schools and say, look, there's people leaving. But when people are leaving to go to Penn State, people might leave to go to the NFL. That's a little bit different. Now you're starting to see, hey, that's an elite thing going on there that somebody else wants to take and be a part of. With the Necktown mentality and Prefontaine pace that Penn State's now using, it's a little bit different of a spin. But when Mike got here, we immediately got him with our running backs. And I think it almost helped even more that Mike Hart was here because they all know Mike Hart. They all know watching him. I mean, I coached against Mike Hart. I was a GA at Ohio State, and he was the running back in the game of the century when we were 1 and they were 2. So I think it really helped in terms of he's only 26 years old. The players still know him and remember him. So here he's going to be an elite recruiter, and he's going to be a phenomenal developer of talent with that young group that he has.
Have you and Mike talked about that game of the century?
We did. All I did was just show him the ring, and then that was about it, and then we moved on. So, I mean, at least he knows exactly. The Buckeyes won that game. But I tell you what, he's one of the best tailbacks I've ever watched. And, again, injury strikes, and that's what happens. But what a competitor. But that's what our program's about. If one coach leaves, we're going to replace it and try to upgrade it and get another guy that fits us. And that's why we do things a little bit different. We hire the person first. And then we go ahead and develop from there.
Signing day is now pretty much officially over. What's next for PJ Fleck?
Well, right now I'm gonna probably do some 2015 work, get some Facebooks out, start setting up junior day. The other coaches, they have some time to get away, but nothing ever stops for the head coach. Tonight I'll probably jump in the bounce house with the kids, get them to bed, and then start it all again tomorrow morning.